Welcome to Life You Got This. Life You Got This, Misty Covington, guests, and any social media platforms used, including any references, links, or other knowledge resources, are for informational purposes only. Please seek professional assistance should you require it. If you believe you are in an emergency, call 911 immediately. Hey everybody, this is Misty Covington with Life You Got This, and you are listening to the Life You Got This podcast. We are in the next episode of our Don't Twist My Words from a workbook that I created last year sometime. It just came out in November. You can find it on Amazon, or you can go on lifeyougotthis.com and order it for me directly. That's fine. I have the kind with the spiral here live, and if you order on Amazon, it's a print on demand, so they'll just give you the basic perfect bound, which is still beautiful. I actually have copies of that myself. And what we've decided to do is that Tim, my husband Tim, hey Tim.
Hi folks. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah. He says that this is not really, we're just all full of humor and sarcasm in our house, but we thought it would be really great to kind of go as though we were couples, as if we were in a couple in therapy, even though I'm the therapist. He is not. It's kind of a take on a male-female perspective and kind of how you do the book together. That's the whole intent, is to help you guys, or all of us. It's a good reminder for Tim and I think we get it right a lot of the times, and we also a lot of the times have some missteps. Even when we do this show, we get to have fun discussions on like how we think things differently. So that's what we're doing. Last week, or last time we met, last month, we talked about listening blockades. The next part of that is the thinking blockades. Another word for thinking blockades is thinking errors. And there are so many that we all do regularly. I just chose the ones that I see the most of in my sessions or in my world, whether it's me and my husband or siblings or parents or what have you. I'm in a lot, of course, with the couples and families that I work with. This is a communication workbook for everybody. It could be parent and child, but I've more narrowed it in on couples. However, the tools and the skills are the same with no matter who you are talking to. So kind of keep that in mind as we do that. The thinking errors are the next stop. So we often get stuck in the listening pieces because we're not listening fully or completely. We're hearing some words and some words are passing us by. So if we're able to get the listening skills down, then the next piece is the thinking blockades. I use the word blockades instead of errors, like with the listening blockades, because the listening and the thinking blockades together create walls. It's almost like having cinder blocks tacked up on top of each other to where we're just not communicating, and there's this wall between us. And so that's why I am calling them blockades. Did you have something you were going to say?
No.
Okay. I just saw a cue, so I was thinking, I don't know.
Trying to get my best profile.
Oh, is that what you're just moving around for your profile? Baby, I don't think you have a bad profile.
I thought you were going to say, I don't think you have a good side.
I don't know why you would think that. So with these thinking blockades or thinking errors, they come from our life experience. Sometimes it's like as we're going through life, we have these experiences, and then we have these narratives or beliefs about that. And sometimes it's how we're raised. Like, oh, I was raised to think or believe a certain way. Like maybe I was raised to think that it's my job to make everybody happy, or you have to, or women's roles are this way, men's roles are this way. There could be some thinking errors. Or if I'm wrong about something, then I'm wrong about everything. And these are all considered thinking blockades or thinking errors. And we're going to talk about those. And so they do come from most everything that we do, by the way, we develop from very, very young ages. It's not just because I suddenly am married that I'm now this communicator. I have these thinking blockades, although they can develop during new relationships. Most of what happens comes from the back and comes with us forward. And so kind of consider that. There was this one doctor, he wrote, I'm going to miss his name, but he wrote the book Us, which is one of the books that I'm going to do a book report on. And he actually, when couples come to him, he is not so worried about the nuts and bolts, or although he does talk about it, or like, hey, why are you here today? What are you fighting about? He literally will ask them all, like, tell me about your trauma. And they go, I don't have any trauma. And he goes, nah, there's things from your past, from how you were raised or experience you had, that actually influence how you view and how you work in the world today. So kind of put that in the back of your head. It's a real thing. And then we'll see how it shows up when we're doing these types of things. Okay, so what we're going to do the same thing as we did with the listening blockades. We're going to go through them one at a time. And there are some examples, not in communication, but maybe for like Bob and Sue. They're often my people who I talk about here. They're not real people. They're just the names that I use. And we'll be talking about them. They're going to be our examples. So Tim and I will take turns doing them, and then we'll do what we did last time, which was I'll give the 3 that I think I do, and he'll give the 3 that he thinks he does. And then I will say my observation if I think of what I think he does or what his thinking blockades are. And they may or may not be the same. And then he'll do the same for me. So that's kind of how we're going to do it. And so let's get rolling. You're more than welcome to take notes on this. There is a video that you can watch, but I did not put the thinking blockades on there. I might choose to do that. I might choose to have a little picture of the thinking blockades, but please feel free to take out a pen and paper if you want to write them down, or go order a book or ask me for one, and I'll get you one out to you. Okay, so the number 1 thinking blockade, not the number 1, but the first one on the list. And I'll start if you want, babe. Is that okay?
Yeah,
and then you
ahead.
go. Okay. So again, thank you for being with us. Got my readers, my librarian glasses on. Minimizing. Look at part of the situation at the exclusion of everything else. We kind of shrink things into smaller portions that might become, and I'm saying more, that almost to non-existence or not a big of a deal. So Bob uses the example of, I didn't sleep with her. We have just been emailing each other. It's not really cheating unless sex is involved. That would be his thinking blockade. I'm minimizing this. Maybe his girlfriend or spouse or partner are thinking, hey, you're cheating. And he's like, but I didn't sleep with her. We were just talking. We were emailing back each other. It's not cheating unless, where his partner's going like, I don't know, but I agree with that. We're not going to get into long discussions about this. It's just more like, that's the thinking blockade. He's not getting what the other person thinks. Okay.
Okay. Number 2 is black and white. It's all or nothing thinking. It's all good. It's all bad. You view things in absolutes. It's good category, bad category, something like that.
Yeah.
Example would be like Sue says, I cooked Bob a meal and he didn't like it. I'm never cooking for him again.
Yeah, that's a good example.
That's an absolute.
Yeah. By the way, just for a note, there's a questionnaire for people who might be in abusive relationships or who are actually starting new relationships. One of the things that they ask as a warning sign is, does the person you're dating think in black and whites? Like, people are either all good or all bad. That is actually a warning sign for what might not be a healthy relating relationship. So yeah, so that some of these are good signs before you're even married. The next one is overgeneralizing. Broad conclusions on one piece of evidence you view as negative. You view a negative event. Wow, I can't even talk. You view a negative event as a never-ending pattern of defeat. This always happens. Bob says, my first wife divorced me, so I must not be marriage material, or I'll never get married. What might be an overgeneralization. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Number 4, mind reading. Assumptions and conclusions. You jump to conclusions not warranted by fact. You might assume that people are reacting negatively to you, or predict things that will turn out badly. An example of this is Sue. Sue says, my partner has been busy with work. They must not want to be with me.
Yeah, it's a good
So-
example. Yeah. This one, by the way, is huge in couples counseling. 9 times out of 10, both the husband and wife are reading each other's minds. If I do this, then they'll do that. And so it's like, there's too much space in there, and you going in their mind to kind of guess what they're thinking or why they're doing something. It's confining.
Yeah,
So
it never works for me.
it never works for you. Sometimes you get it right, but you never know until you ask. Oh, they did that because of this. How do you know? Well, because it's what happened in the past. Well, what if it's different this time? Yeah, are you sure? Did you ask them if that's why they did it? Did you ask them if that's what they were thinking and feeling? No, but I
read
just,
her mind.
yeah, I read her. Yeah, that's so common. It's a big one. I go, get out of their mind. It's too crowded in there, is usually what I say. Okay, next one, catastrophizing. Worst case scenario, blow things out of proportion. So it's opposite of minimizing. You dwell in the negative and ignore the positive. Bob says, if we argue, we are going to divorce. Yeah, I get that one a lot with people who are in churches where they're taught that husbands and wives do this and we always get along. And especially with my younger married people are those who were married young. They might be maybe in their 30s and 40s, but they were married young, and they might have not had the best role models. As far as that example, that's a good example. Like, oh, I didn't realize I could tell my husband this. I didn't realize if we argued, it didn't mean that we're headed for divorce or we're not going to be compatible. Yeah. Go next one.
Number 6, personalization. You interpret things to reflect on you because one person doesn't like you. You think you're not worth anything.
To anyone.
To anyone.
Yeah.
An example might be Sue would say, if Bob doesn't answer my text, he doesn't want to connect with me.
Yeah. So what's wrong with me? Yeah.
Right.
It sounds like it's part of the black and white thinking. That's the scenarios are the same. I just want to share it with you. Oh, it sounds like black and white thinking. I go, it sounds like it, but it's not quite the same, even though the thought process of talking about the same thing. Oh, they don't want to be with me. Right. That's similar, but the actual process of personalizing or the black and white thinking is not quite the same. Okay, the next one is control belief. We're controlled by forces outside of ourselves, and you or they are responsible for everything. So someone has to be in charge, right? Bob says, I need to tell my spouse that she can't spend money, because if I don't, then we're going to be broke. We're not going to have any money. Yeah, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts? It's a good example.
No.
Yeah.
Folks, I'm having to read a lot of these, so excuse me. So
I'm reading too.
On our screen, so it looks like you're looking at her. So she's looking at you.
Yeah.
She's reading.
Are you concerned about something, babe?
Yeah, I keep looking away.
Yeah, that's okay.
So control of change is number 9. Assume that others will change to suit you. The belief that your happiness depends on bringing these changes. An example would be, wives are supposed to give up their career in order to have a happy marriage. We won't be truly happy until she quits her job.
Yeah. Yeah. So that has to change. And that's a great scenario for lots of different things. I hear about a lot about roles, gender roles and things like that. But yeah, control of change. I was thinking of another one earlier today and I can't remember, but that's okay. It's a good example. Blaming. Bad things that happen have to be someone's fault. Either you blame yourself for something you weren't entirely responsible for, although you might have had some responsibility, but you blame yourself for everything, or you blame other people and you overlook what you might have contributed to the problem or the argument or the situation. Sue says to herself, we don't have sex because he never shows interest. She's giving him all the responsibility for their intimate life. She's blaming him for the lack thereof, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's so many examples we could give.
Blaming's easy to do.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up.
Yeah. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So number 11 is shoulding. The absolute rules on acting. You should do this. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You must. You ought.
Yeah, you
have
want to
tos.
or have to. Yeah.
Example would be Bob saying, "If my wife doesn't work, she should have the house clean and my dinner ready when I get home."
Yeah. Yeah. That would be a shoulding
That's
for
shoulding.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Being right, justifying your point of view. You must be right, can't be wrong. It's impossible. That's my fault. By the way, on a side note, some of these things really are about our protectors. If I'm wrong, then something's wrong with me, right? So we do have these thought blockades that are considered like parts or protectors, and that's a really good one. So it might be an inner critic that's just trying to protect us, or a part that's trying to protect us from the inner critic, I should say. Sue says, I didn't say anything wrong. They must have misunderstood. That's really about them. That has nothing to do with me. I'm right, they're wrong. They got it wrong. I didn't really say it that way. That's not really what I meant. They got it wrong, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
The last one, number 13, heaven's rewards. The belief that if you sacrifice, you'll receive something in return. If you always do the right thing, you'll eventually be rewarded.
Mm.
You're like Bob saying, if I work long days and I don't take days off, my family will appreciate and treat me with respect.
Yeah.
So,
which might not be true. That is a heaven's reward. They might go, oh, my dad's amazing, or they might wish their dad spent more time with them, right? Or they might be entitled. There's lots of things that could happen, but that's definitely his thinking error. I work myself to the bones. Boom, 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 boom. I work all day long. That's like an older school, I will say, kind of mentality.
I don't see much of that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, you might not.
Not in the 30s and under.
Yeah, people might be more balanced on how they live things, but it probably is either they had a bad experience, like, oh, my parents did this and I don't want to do that for my parents, or their parents got it and said, hey, you need to have life balance. Yeah. Whatever happened, something happened when they were younger that shifted it for when they were older.
Spend more time with your family.
Yeah. Like, I think you're a really hard worker, and I think that you could very easily be gone because you're like, I want to make sure we have enough for the family. I want to make sure everything's taken care of. Right. Your son is the same way, but he also, I think, does better on balance. Now, when your kids were younger, because I wasn't with you, you might have been better with balance with them. Or when you were with them, you were 100% with them and you played really hard with them.
Right. Well, yeah, because I was self-employed, I made a rule. I don't work on weekends. I just don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes seldom did I. Yeah. While they were growing up. Now,
when they were older, or they were out with their old friends, because when they were like, they don't care about me now, they'd rather be with their friends. Things might have shifted, but let's be honest, we both always have projects on the weekends, so we are still working. It's just not necessarily for somebody else or getting paid at it. That garden does not weed itself. But at any rate, so let's see. I'll go first because it's hard, and then I forgot to say that we're going to give you some tips to overcome the blockades. There's like 4 tips, and I give one example and I show each of those tips using that same example. That might be helpful. So if I'm confessing, I'm gonna have a confession hangover tomorrow, I'm sure. But Misty, I can teach it and do it, and I know it, and I also catch myself. I don't do it as much as I did it when I was younger, but I promise you the things that I'm going to share, I learned from, I adapted or created these blockades from when I was younger. It's not because I suddenly got married and there they were. And so one of them I think I do is personalizing. And maybe it's because I'm the third child. This is kind of history. Third childs often are scapegoats, but they're also like people pleasers, or we either are big clowns or we're invisible. I feel like it's either or. But it was easy for me to go, oh, that was my responsibility. I did something false, wrong. And so if someone is saying, give me feedback, could be criticism, or it could just be, hey, would you not do that? Or, hey, I noticed this was there. I don't always respond, but in my head, I go, oh, what did I do wrong? I must have done something wrong. I hope that they're not mad at me, and even though I am in my mid to late 50s, I still think of those things. I have to work at like not taking it like, oh, what I do wrong, I hope they're not mad at me kind of thing, by personalizing it. Because I personalize it, that brings me to the other two, which, by the way, I stack. These are my top three, but they get stacked, right? So I do blaming. Blaming isn't so much that, oh, it has to be your fault and can't be my fault. It can be my fault, but I was raised where we took accountability and responsibility, and there was always a reason for something. So even if I'm like, oh, that was an accident, which could be true, my brain will go, well, why did the accident happen? Who was involved? What was wrong or not wrong? And so it's blaming myself or somebody else. And again, it doesn't mean that I'm bad at it, meaning like I'm mean at it, but it's like in my head, I go, okay, that happened because this person, that happened because of me. And if I can't figure it out, I try to problem solve it. Why? I don't know, because there has to be responsibility, or why, so it doesn't happen again. Those types of things. Another one, and again, I stack them. So if someone has to be the blame, then I have to hang on to that. Or if I've personalized something, I'm sure that I'm right about it. So being right. So if I think that someone was short with me, it must mean that they're mad at me. I really think that I'm right about that. Now, I'm talking in extremes now that I've gotten older and I'm more mature. And of course, I've had more practice with this. I am way better. But you know what? There are those tender moments when I'm really tired, or I'm not feeling well, or I don't know. There might be times when I'm just feeling more anxious or insecure or doubting myself, which we all do. And in those times, I think I personalize more. And to protect myself from being the bad person, I try to find who's responsible and then be right about it. So I literally stack those three. It seems like it's all happening at the same time, because more often not we stack. And before you share yours, we were talking about this today. We were in the car a lot today. We got up, drove 2.5 hours, talked to someone for an hour and a half, drove another half an hour, 45 minutes, hung out with people for an hour, and then we drove the whole 3.5 hours back. So we've been doing a lot of talking and a lot of traveling in one day, and we're tired. But in our travels, we talked about this, about how we stack, and it's not uncommon to start with the listening. Sometimes I'm not hearing you all the way, and I'm also stacking on my thinking blockade with the listening blockade. So be mindful of that. We keep them separate, but more often than not, unless I'm filtering, like I'm just not interested in something, I'm just filtering listening. I'm not getting everything, and that's fine. I'm not necessarily thinking of anything, but this conversation is uncomfortable, or I'm bored with filtering. But a lot of times we're stacking our thinking blockades together. It's the next level. So if you can be present and you're making sure you're hearing every single word and hearing what they're saying, that's the first piece. But just because you're hearing exactly what they're saying and you understand their meaning and you're getting that piece, doesn't mean that you don't have your thinking blockades that are now interfering as we're continuing this conversation along. Okay, so Tim Covington, what are your three?
Okay, so mine,
That you would choose for
some
yourself.
of them are the same. But
Are they?
one of them that's not is, I think I minimize.
That you're
minimizing.
Do you think they do that one the most, or is that just one of your three?
That's just one of my three.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you which one I do most. You probably could. but
I could probably think of an example if you want to wait for a second. But
yeah, so minimizing, I tend to I minimize probably quite a bit. Just because I don't take life super serious.
Mm.
And some people around me, get really, I don't know, hung up on things. And I just like, it's okay. Yep. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And so, and sometimes I shut people out because I minimize. So
You think you should people out I'm avoid that conversation might be awkward, so I'm going to avoid it, so I'm going to minimize it. Is that what you mean by
right.
shut people out?
Yeah.
I can see that. Sure.
So that's one. The other one's personalization. I do that when people, I'm a contractor, been doing it for a long time. And when people try to tell me how to do what I do, I take it personal. I know what I'm doing.
Mm.
And so
Like other
that's just one
contractors
example.
or just anybody?
I do it in all kinds of situations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are you saying?
I said, if anyone's telling you what to do or asking you what you're doing or both.
Anyway, it's not all the time. Some people just want to know, and so I'll explain it. But when I'm, trying to get something done and they're questioning, it'll be, I take that personal. Let me get my job done. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. So you're like you think they're questioning you, like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So,
yeah.
And then the third one for me would be also blaming. It's easy to blame people, like I said. It's and there are reasons for everything. There's you can find a blame for just about anything. The hardest thing not to blame is yourself. So
you think you blame others more than you do yourself, because you can do both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like you said,
good question, Misty.
As I get older, I think I've taken more responsibility, and I take the blame if I made a mistake.
Mm.
So, but it is for most people, I think it's easier to blame somebody else, something else.
Just depends on the scenario. I would agree with you though, but yeah, sometimes I would rather blame me than somebody else. I don't want someone else to take responsibility. Yeah. But that's just me because I'm a people pleaser, right? And I personalize things.
Rather blame
me
than somebody else.
Yeah. Sometimes I will take blame. Yeah. I remember this one time. It's just a funny little story. And my dad doesn't listen to the podcast, bless his heart. He listens to airplane stuff all the time. That's just his thing at 83, and that's okay. Although he supports me doing the podcast. He thinks it's great that I do it. I was in junior high, and we were learning about planes, which my dad, he get his pilot's license, but he did everything up into getting it because it costs money or et cetera, or whatever at the time. But we had this project where we had to make our own models, and he taught me about the wing plane, which we didn't learn it in school. And I thought, oh my gosh, that'll be so cool. No one will know this. So I'll create this model plane and it will look different. Well, I had to go somewhere with my parents, and I go, it's due. We had like 1 week to get it done, and there was always some activity, and my parents had their own company, so I often traveled with them. So I went down, took a shower, and I was going to go up, and he was going to kind of help me do that, show me how to do it using whatever. And because we had those boxes that you put t-shirts on, shirts and like dress shirts, or like, it's white because I didn't want to just out of cardboard. It had to look pretty, you know me.
Right.
And so I had one of those on the bottom and the top. So I get out of the shower, and he comes down, and he was so proud that he made me the plane.
He did your project.
He built it. And so I go to school and I hang it up, but the whole time I'm just dying inside. I'm just like, when I didn't make it, and the assignment was that I was going to make it. So it comes time we're supposed to give our letter grade. So I go up to Mr., I think his name was Fife. I can't remember. And I go, well, I think it deserves an A. And I could make it myself. And I wasn't blaming my dad. I was blaming me for not using my voice at age, 12 or whatever age I was, 11 or 12. And saying like, my dad made it. We were going to do it together, but he felt so bad because it was so late at night, because we were at this activity thing we had to do from their business, and it took so long. So he made it for me. I can make it for you now if you want me to. But I didn't. And the whole reason why is I did not want to hurt my dad's feelings to say, I can't use this, Dad. I didn't want his work to listen to me. I'm so tender at 12. I still am. I can feel my eyes watering up as I'm thinking in my heart. And so I got a C, and I go, I think it deserves an A, and I know all about it. However, I didn't make it for myself. And because I told him that, I got the C. Otherwise, I would have had an F. I'm like, well, who would have told you that someone else made it other than me? I wasn't proud. I wasn't telling everybody, but that's where I was taking the responsibility and blame. I didn't want to hurt my dad's feelings. I turned it in because something had to be turned in. I know all about the wing plane. I know how to do it. I know what they were used for, Anyway, that's an example of how I'll take the blame, not my dad, who was super excited and kind of took over the project. I didn't blame him. Anyway, that's an example.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the three that I think that you do? I would say personalizing, probably for the same reasons I do. Probably from childhood, people like treating you differently, or someone else getting favor, or you having to prove yourself, that kind of stuff, which you even talk about in adulthood, right? Like those types of things.
Yeah.
You rolled your eyes. Did not agree with me? Or are we looking at the dog?
The dog Rusty's
Yeah.
saying he wants to go out.
Yeah, he's ready. He doesn't have to go out. This is my everyday baby. He's just saying, come play with me. I'm bored of you being in here. So sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear him, but that's what we're getting at. And now he's at our feet. So I would say personalizing for you too. So that one we got the same.
Yeah.
And I say, like you say, blaming, and I think we're probably saying the same thing, but I think rather than you blaming other people or yourself, I think you're more of a be writer, a being right person. Kind of for the same thing as you're protecting your person. Like I'm personalizing, but I gotta be right, because if I'm not right, then I'm wrong, and being wrong might mean not being good enough. And when you and I are arguing, it's like we mirror each other. We both are hearing it and we're taking it personally, or, well, you said this. No, I said this. No, what you really said was this. So we kind of get stuck in that scorpion's dance of going back and forth of being right, until one of us goes, okay, can we just say, let's say it over. Let me say this again a different way. Fine, we misunderstood each other. Unless one of us does that, we could go in that loop forever.
Yeah.
I think we do it less often, but we still do it. But in the beginning of our marriage, we did it a lot, I think. And then I would say minimizing too. And the reason I say that is not because I can tag on exactly when you minimize, but I know when we're talking, I catch myself saying that. I feel like you're minimizing that. Well, don't minimize that, please. Will you give that some space? Like I find myself saying that a lot when I'm not feeling heard. And so that's why I think maybe minimizing. And for me, as the recipient of that, I'll tell you, like, and this is my opinion that, I do all of these at least once, but those are my go-to, the ones that I share. I would say maybe that you might minimize because you just don't get it. Like you don't get why that would scare me, or you don't understand why I would be mad at that, or you don't understand why I want something done a certain way. You're like going, it's almost like, not that you're fun, you are fun, and you don't take life too seriously, but sometimes I'm like going, you don't have to take it seriously, but if I want to take it seriously, make space for me for my taking it more seriously. And that's where the minimizing is, right? And I can't even think of an example, but I'm using that as an example based on what, you just got through saying, I like too seriously. Right. Yeah. You were smiling. I'm like going, okay, are we going to have a discussion here with everybody? Anyway, yeah. So which three do you think I do?
You have one more, right?
Those are my three. It was minimizing, personalizing, and being right.
Oh, being right. Oh, you wrapped that in with the personalizing kind of.
Well, kind of. I use them together. I think they're connected. That's why I think you do the being right. Okay. Now I realize I dissect this way more than you might do it, but that's just the way my brain works. Okay, which I like it the way it works.
I thought
Like when I agree with
you
everything you said, Misty, you do
personalize.
that a lot. I personalize, you
You
think?
personalize.
Yeah.
And I guess I mean, on a lot of different fronts, but one that
Are you gonna share my closet skeletons? Is that what we're doing here?
Maybe. All I have to do is use the wrong tone, and you will personalize that.
Yeah, sometimes that's true. I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
and-
probably
and
me reading.
sometimes-
It's probably me mind reading when I do that.
folks.
Folks.
Missy has a way bigger, better vocabulary than I do, right? I'm a contractor.
I don't think
I don't
so.
use the right words all the time. And when I don't, it's personalized. So
That's what you think.
yeah, that's
Okay.
well, you tell me.
Yeah.
Well, then use a different word.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
So that's why I think
Yeah.
personalized.
When we're in the heat of it, I would tell that. Well, use a different word then. Say what you mean. When you say take a minute. Yeah, I probably do.
Yeah.
Probably because there was some word I'm like going, wow, that hurt. Did you mean it to hurt like that? And you go, no. And I go, we'll use a different word. I can see that happening. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. But we agree. That's one thing we agree on. We both think I personalize.
Okay.
We both think you personalize. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Are there two?
I had blaming and being right also.
Yeah.
For similar reasons that you had.
Yeah. They're stacked. They kind of go together for me.
They're also stacked.
Yeah.
And so like we talked about, we all want to be right.
Because if I'm wrong, what does that mean about me? Yeah, it's a protector. For me, it's a protector. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't come up with anything specific right now,
That's
but
okay. Yeah. So yeah.
Those are my three.
Yeah. You just basically agreed exactly what I said, which means I either present myself very clearly or your observations are, you're so paying attention to me that your observations are very clear.
Or you're a therapist.
Well, you guessing has nothing to do. You guessing that I do these things has nothing to do with me being a therapist. It means you're a great observer. So at any rate. So, well, thank you for that. And okay, so now the next pieces are the tips for overcoming thinking blockades. So I'm going to read them real quick. And then Tim, will you don't read the example. Let me read them all, the 4 things first, and then you'll read the example and we'll go through it. So okay. Here's what you do. You identify the emotions and the physical reactions that are happening with you during the conversation. This next one is you validate and you focus on the truth of what that person's saying. So again, we're layering it. We're doing we're listening. We're making sure I'm not using a listening blockade, right? What's the truth about what they're saying? And the third one is explore the possibilities of what my thinking errors or blockades could be, rather. And then the fourth one is breaking down the blockades into those truths that I was trying to focus on earlier. So what's the example that we have?
Okay, so the example is you show up late for dinner.
This is someone saying this, it's in quotes.
Yeah.
So
you showed up for a dinner date. I'm sorry, you didn't show up for a dinner date. That makes me sad and angry because I don't think I'm important to you.
So she could be mind reading and doing thinking errors, but we're going to only talk about the other person.
Assuming it's a she. And he didn't get stood.
Well, let's have it be he, and or it could be a she and a she or he and a he, but we are man and wife. So we'll say that the wife didn't show up for the dinner date and the husband said, you didn't show up for our dinner date. That makes me sad and angry. I have 2 feelings because I don't think I'm important to you when you do that. And so she goes, okay, so what's happening to me when I heard him say that? And so she says, I feel kind of hot. I feel hot when they're telling me basically that I did something wrong. And I feel like also I'm being accused of something that I didn't intentionally do. And I feel like I always get blamed. I'm the one that gets the blame. So that's those are all the things.
And she's
So
frustrated.
yeah, so she's frustrated. She feels like she's accused and she's being blamed, and she notices in her body that she's feeling hot. So she's just identifying what's happening with me. My body's reacting this way. I'm noticing these feelings, and then now as she goes, okay, so what did he say, and what's the truth? The truth is he's told me he was sad and also angry. So he was sad and he was angry. That's the truth. He had a feeling of sad and a feeling of angry. But I also mean like, well, I didn't show up. So all those things are true. So those are the three truths. I didn't show up, and here are the two feelings. Right. Now, because of the way my body reacted and the way that I'm thinking, what could my possible thinking errors be from what I was saying to myself? I'm always getting blamed. I didn't do anything intentionally. So in my head, I'm going to go, I could be, there's lots of thinking errors, but in this example, even with this example, there could be blaming and shoulding and black and white thinking, but we're going to say shoulding. And the shoulding would have been like, oh, I should double check my calendar. I should have written that down. I should have done something different. Or it could be that's shoulding and blaming basically at the same time. I should have, and then I'm also blaming myself, or I'm shoulding and maybe blaming them. They should have reminded me this morning. Right. Before I went out he works at home, and meaning he works at home and maybe he's taking care of kids. I don't know, because it's a pretend scenario, and she's off to work or doing her thing. And he's like, well, he's in charge of the calendar. Why didn't he remind me? He should have, shoulding, and then it's also blaming. So they're stacked right there. So break down the blockades into truths. Well, there was a mistake in the calendaring, at least my calendaring, maybe not theirs. And we don't have to blame anybody. It was an accident. It was a misstep. It wasn't done intentionally. And it makes sense to me that, of course, they would be sad about that. They were sad and disappointed, and they were also angry because here I am. I didn't calendar correctly again. I didn't look at my calendar. So those are the four things to overcome. Identify the emotions that I'm having. I need to validate really what happened, the truth of it. What are my thinking blockades? And then I need to break down the blockades into truth. The truth is, yeah, I don't need to shit on anybody. The calendar was wrong. I didn't see it on my calendar.
She said should.
Yeah.
On anybody.
I shouldn't should on any. I know. Should. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I know. People will laugh.
Say it fast.
I know. But what's so funny is that basically is, well, you should on someone, you're kind of pooing on them. You're like, you know what I'm saying? It is kind of, you're like just giving them a bag full of crap, right? You're like, that's kind of what it is. People laugh at it all the time. Don't shit on each other. And they laugh at me. And I'm like, well, that's the way it sounds, but it's true. However, we have a little bonus for you guys. If you're talking about this and you're really going through all those tips, you can always mend it. You can always right there in that moment mend it, or afterwards, after you heard the words, maybe you didn't have a conversation and you kind of just sat with that and you said, okay, here's really what's happening. Okay, I want to go talk to him and apologize, a real sincere apology, which is, I'm sorry for this. Here's how I'll fix it in the future. So that could look like, hey, I'm apologizing, or I'm apologizing, but not being defensive. I'm sorry that this happened, that I missed it, and that you were hurt by that. And it makes sense why you would be angry. Can we do this again? And if we have a try again, I will put it in my calendar, and then I will double check to make sure I have it in my calendar the same as you do. And I'll even put an alarm on my phone, because I am sincerely sorry. And yeah, I get it. I mean, no, yeah, you have every right to be sad and disappointed and angry at all the feelings you had. And I'm sorry that happened. And I want to mend it by the apology alone would work, but also like, let's have a do again.
And you can do that together. Get your phones out, put it in the calendar.
Yeah,
together.
all of that. Yeah, all of that together. Yeah, so that's the thinking blockades in a nutshell. And the idea with these is be aware of them. Like I tell people, I know they can have it on their book, but I'm like, going to take a picture on your phone and have a little file that says communication. And, throughout, I have lunch break and I'm thinking of my spouse or my partner or my kids or whatever you're thinking about as far as communicating. Go ahead and review those. Or maybe there was an incident that happened that morning or the night before, and it didn't have to be big, but maybe you're like going, gosh, it ended out okay, but the middle was kind of rocky. I wonder where I misstepped. I wonder how I could have done it better. Well, go ahead and review the listening blockades and the thinking blockades and just identify, oh, that's what happened. Because every time we learn or relearn it, we're telling our brain what to do. We're telling it to remember and shift the way it's thinking. Our brain will help us do that. But if you don't look at these ever again if you and I never look at them again, nothing's going to shift. If we're not consciously aware and practicing.
Right. And know that, the person that got stood up, this is not going to fix it, but it's going to help you move on. And that person, you need to know that you will misstep too sometimes.
Yeah. So make some space.
So you have to make some space.
And
right?
grace.
That's
and I don't think that you can fix what happened, but I don't know about anything's broken, but I do think that you can mend. It didn't make it disappear, but that's why I say mending, because it's like, I can have a hole in my sock and I can mend it by darning it. My sock will work. It doesn't, my big toe's not coming out anymore. It doesn't, but you can still see like, oh, something happened there, but I'm not thinking about it on the daily because the sock works just fine and my toes are covered, right? I don't know if that's making sense. But and it's never too late. Like if I had an interaction with my kiddos when they were young and maybe they're adults and they're talking about it and they still feel hurt, I literally can go through these types of steps and mend it with them. It's never too late. It's never too late to mend it. It's not like one and done. And as you like I was saying, like when if you have them in your book, we were talking about this in the car. You were reading more in the manual, and we were talking about like practice listening, practice thinking of your thinking errors. Next time we're going to talk about commitments or like commitment agreement, and then the time after that we're going to have actually like these commitment worksheets where we actually go through a scenario where we go, okay, here's the listening, here's a possible listening, possible thinking. We're going to go through all the scenarios, which are going to be a little bit more difficult for us because we need to find something that's real, but we're not going to argue and waste all of our time arguing about it on the podcast. Maybe that would be fun and entertaining if people go, this is really how hard it can be. But you can really invite like, hey, let's take some time. Let's practice listening to each other and identifying our thinking blockades. Why don't we get our worksheets together as I'm hitting the microphone? Let's go get our worksheets and practice with this scenario that happened about taking the trash out. And then afterwards, let's go do something fun. It can be something as simple as that, or it can be like, maybe I don't want to talk about Tim about something because I'm like going, okay, in the past, this would be me mind reading. In the past, this has happened, so I don't want to do it again. I want to avoid it because he's just going to get upset with me. Maybe I'd be mind reading. That would be my thinking blockade. But I'm going to go, you know what? I committed because I love him and I want us to be good partners together. I might go, hey, I have something to talk about with you, Tim, and I'm a little nervous about it because normally with this topic, we get into these arguments, but I know we're trying to talk about these things and we're trying to get better. So I'm going to get the blockades and maybe we can talk about it and both of us can be making sure that we're avoiding our thinking and our listening blockades. That could work, right? It might be another way would be like, hey, I have something to talk about with you. I know I'll probably say it wrong because I get more emotional or I escalated higher. So I'll probably make it wrong, but I want you to know that I want to talk about this. And my intention is to get it right, but I might get it wrong. So please, be aware that my intentions are good because I'm with you, we're together. And if you notice a blockade, just give me the signal, and then say, hey, I'm wondering if you use this blockade. And if you want, I'll do the same for you. But if you don't want, I won't. But I'm giving you permission and I won't be offended, or I'll do my best not to take it personally, because that's one of my blockades. But, if you'll just, hey, and if you'll use the words like, hey, I wonder if, and that way it comes out of a place of curiosity and not accusation, and that I can hear you better. That would help me make sure I stay whatever, right? So those are just examples of how you can do it, but you've got to practice. When I tell my clients, like, here you go. And usually when we're at this level, I'm like, it depends on how volatile it is, but normally at this point, they're pretty safe. It's like, okay, you have 1 to 2 weeks to practice this. And when you come back, I want you to give me a scenario that you struggled with, and then we're going to replay it here using these skills. I want you guys to, and if it went well, that's great. You're still going to replay it here.
Are we going to do that?
We'll see. We'll see I don't know what scenario we'll use.
Well, we have lots.
I'm sure we have lots to choose from, because we've been married over 20 years. And if not, we'll figure out something. But
all right.
Yeah. So I hope that was good for everybody. Tim.
Yeah, good for me.
Thank you for joining me again. I think this is kind of fun. You're like, yeah, me either. What?
I think this is kind of fun.
You think this is kind of me either? I think this is kind of fun. Whatever. See, this is what I live with. He's humorous. But no, I know. I'm not taking that. I'm not personalizing that. I just like when you're joking. Yeah. So he's really having fun, whether he likes it or not. But just to kind of sign off, appreciate you all listening. We know you have time and there's so many things to do. And we hope, as host and co-host, that you are able to glean from this and apply it in your own life. And if not for you, maybe you've heard something that you think might help somebody else, please share it, pay it forward, or you can even just link them or send this link to them so they can listen to it for themselves. We will be seeing you next month doing our next skill. And until then, remember, this is your life. You got this. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.